Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam satu Malaysia, salam satu bahasa, and very good afternoon to all the participants. I feel honored today to be on the stage with all the colleagues from the UNESCO, and it's a great pleasure to share some of our experience at the Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka in sustaining Malay literary heritage. We are dealing not only with the digital, in the digital world, but also in a way to uplift the analog collections. Although we are librarians, but we go beyond librarianship. We are partly a librarian, partly curator, and partly a researcher. That makes the various knowledge that we have to gain in order to provide an access, preservation, as well as to outreach all the masses, to provide all the acquired informations relating to the Malay literary heritage. Okay, let me move on. Okay, all right. So we're going to share, this is a very, very brief presentation. However, we're going to share experience of the Pusat Dokumentasi Melayu, Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka in preserving Malay manuscript as literary heritage, and we will discuss on the roles of the center, the Malay Documentation Center, that is Pusat Dokumentasi Melayu, and DBP in sustaining Malay language and literature through Malay manuscript. That is the focus of my presentation today. All right. This is what we're going to go through in a while, that I will introduce on Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka, which was established since 1956, before the independence, and a little bit on Malay Documentation Center, the access and preservation, outreach program, and how do we embark on use of ICT to reach our researchers and our users, and some future plans that in store by Dewan Bahasa in 5 and 10 years in the future. All right. One has to be aware that there are other repositories exist around Dewan Bahasa holding Malay manuscripts. There is National Library with more than 4,000 collections, the University Malaya, Kedah State Museum, Terengganu State Museum, Islamic Arts Museum with a collection of 3,000 titles, and there, Dewan Bahasa, we are almost reaching 400, focusing on language, literature, and culture collections. Yeah. And we are dealing with activities on research, publishing, and digitization when relating to language and literature. Okay, that is the tall building looking there, and on the right-hand side, that is the Malay Documentation Center. All right, let me move on. All right, this is some background on Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka, which was established in 1956 with the aim and functions to explore and study the olden Malay literature, the classical Malay literature, as part of the effort to safeguard language and literary affairs that was brought up by the resolution in 1956, and it continues till today. Its DBP roles and responsibility to introduce Malay literature in school education and encourage study and teaching of Malay language and literature through publications. Therefore, at that time, we have started to collect, compile, and adopting hikayats. Hikayats is the Malay classical romance since 1960s. There are officers, researchers who went to the field to collect materials of original manuscript as well as duplicates, copies. Manuscript in Malay language was acquired either as a gift, trust from individuals throughout Malay Peninsula, including from the royal families. This is to establish a special library for Malay language, hikayat, culture, humanities, and Malay literature before the existence of National Library for the Malay Peninsula at that time. And I have to mention on regulatory, where it is regulated by our Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka, 1959 revised 1978, Act 213, that incorporating all amendments to develop and enrich the national language, develop literary talent, particularly towards the national language, and the works of printing and publishing, books, magazine, and others. So we are... that is the wide range of responsibility that is carried out by Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka. Okay, right, we move on. This is one of the activities or departments taking care of the activity on research. That is Departments of Research and Policy, and we are supported by the Literary Research Division, Language Research Division, and on the right-hand side, that is Malay Documentation Center. And on the whole, the Departments of Research and Policy are responsible to implement research on language and literature, publishing, and to identify and achieve DBP strategic planning, carrying out research, standardization, guide to Malay language as an effort to uplift the Malay language, to explore and widen networking between the BP and institution in order to uplift the effectiveness of DBP implementation program, carrying out research on history, text, literary works as a platform to uplift the national literature. And the last one, that is the task which is carried out by Pusat Dokumentasi Melayu or Malay Documentation Center, that is to enrich and conserve Malay literary collections in various forms, beside printing, including audiovisuals, pertaining to Malay literature as a one-stop center for researcher. And these are the programs under the Literary Research Division undertaking research, which include to simplify literary works, transliterations, to summarize an overview of classical works and comparative study on classical Malay texts across the nations. And research on Malay Sultanate texts. Yeah? And the focus area are basically on three main areas, that is research, knowledge, and language history. Yeah? That is on aspect of culture, literature, history, philosophy, and cultural thought that continues. And the contents that we are continuously explore to uplift knowledge of local genius, not only in the peninsula, but also to the East Malaysia. All right. Okay. All right. Under the literary research, works on transliteration being carried out on Malay classical texts to disseminate repository of nation minds and to publish research works for study and references. There are major programs that has been carried out, workshops on Malay Sultanate texts, workshops on Malay classical laureates, and the last one, that is a series which to promote the Malay Annals or Sejarah Melayu after being recognized as the Memory of the World Register in 2001. And there are publications that has been published around the time. All right. And we move on to Pusat Dokumentasi Melayu with the aim, with the slogan to preserving heritage and nurture vision. Yeah. And it has a long history, which is established on 20th October 1956 and served as a reference center before the existence of National Library of Malaysia. And it has been upgraded and function as a special and research library with its role to develop Malay literary collection in all medium and to preserve as nation heritage and treasure. And in 2012, it was proposed that the Malay Documentation Center to become the Malay Literary Center to serve as a research center on Malay literature. These are the philosophy, motto, vision, and mission behind the role of Pusat Dokumentasi Melayu. Yeah. Therefore, as a library, we are dealing with collection of treasures and heritage value, and to serve as Malay Literary Research Centre in preserving collections of manuscript in various form of early printing, as well as electronic materials, databases, CD-ROMs, and digitization, which has been carried out till today. All right, these are the functions. Probably I may skip this, only that I would like to point out the number 4, that we are on the way of implementing the Museum of Malay and Literature with Malay linguistic, literary, cultural artifacts as treasured heritage of civilization of the Malay race for the benefits of future generation. And today that we learned a lot of innovations that can be the models for the coming museum. Yeah. All right. Of course, the collections development is basically to introduce Malay literature in promoting the use of national language, especially in education system, to collect and compiling, as I said before, adopting hikayats, and explore, research the richness, intellectual knowledge via various outreach program, and supporting the organization publishing activities, as well as inculcating and stimulating research and scholarship on Malay language and literature. All right. These are part of management on collection development that require the acquisition, documentation, storage and preservation, and outreach program, as well as digitization. Okay. Collection are being locating and identified, local and abroad, and we have quite a few that is acquired through our antiquarian suppliers, and reproduction copies, as well as donated. Yeah. This is one of the problem and challenges when dealing with locating and identifying materials. These are one of the rural areas on the right-hand side that we see that the collectors' awareness of keeping or preserving the materials. And this is where the role of Dewan Bahasa in giving advice to the collectors that these are the material that are precious to the country that needs to be given proper attention. All right, some of the activities abroad. Okay, on documentation. We are providing access of information and research on Malay literary through online catalogue named as System Pustaka, and catalogue bibliographies been published time to time for researchers and scholars. That is one of our printed catalogue, and system that can be accessed over the internet, local and abroad. Yeah. All right. Of course, preservation has been given have been given attention to ensure that its preservation and conservation by means of the traditional fumigation, repair and bind, microfilming, and to ensure the safety and care of the materials. All right. We'll go to the outreach program whereby promotion and dissemination are given priority. Okay, yeah. Everyone has known the Sulalatu Salatin, which is recognized as Memory of the World Register in 2001, and subsequent nomination, and just received the recognition this morning, that is Kitab Ilmu Bedil. And it is the responsibility of Malay documentation to spread and popularize classical text to the mass society through reading campaigns in conjunction of the World Book and Copyright Day. although probably some of the institution would focus on modern texts, but for Dewan Bahasa, this is the way for us to provide access and to introduce to the public that there are some other historical materials that is important in research and historical value. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay, this is the presentation of the certificate in 2001 by Sri Paduka Baginda yang di Pertuan Agong, and it was carried by our warrior with the help of the elephant there. Okay, this is another program which we have a lot of challenge because to part the knowledge and the readings of classical manuscript texts requires special program whereby we had an interrupted readings competition across the country whereby we introduce numbers of Malay manuscript, and the participant have to read 1 or 2 pages with a creative presentation, and a winner will be depicted from all the contestants. And this program also not only being held locally, but also we have reached our readers in the United Kingdom, in Malay School in Manchester in 2014. Yeah. Okay, this is parts of the publication published by Dewan Bahasa pertaining to Malay manuscript. Therefore, besides having the technology and innovation, book plays important role to part the important in contents of Malay literature to the masses. Yeah. Of course, all right. This is one of the program that was organized by Malay Language and Culture Society, MALEX, under the University of Manchester, United Kingdom, introducing Sejarah Melayu, Sulalatus Salatin, or the Malay Annals. And this program was carried out by the students, besides other programs such as sharing session, creative writings, traditional games, and book reviews. All right, enabling information technology to create access, to provide access to Malay literature, Malay manuscripts through the digital library, which be embarked as a repository of Malay literature, which will fulfill the needs and requests of users and researchers, and to provide access of information not only for Malay manuscript, but as well as other materials such as videos, and audios relating to the Malay culture. And it is a one-stop center in the future for Malay literature that is provided by Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka as for sharing of resources. And my manuscript, this is our pilot project which we started in 2009 in collaboration with the Faculty of Computer Science and Technology, University of Malaya in 2009. And we could see on the left-hand side, that is how it looks in 2009. However, it disappeared for a few years due to some technical problem and compatibilities in software. And it made a comeback in 2017 with a new look, and works in putting up and uploading 69 titles from Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka is still carried on. And this is part of the works of Dewan Bahasa as the instrument for the preservation, access, and building a digital collections of Malay manuscript for use by both Malay world and Malay studies learning communities. And the program was provided by grant of Ministry of Science and Innovation. Okay. Reference Center for Malay Literature. This is another program or another portal by Dewan Bahasa by providing online resources for dictionaries, encyclopedias, terminologies, journals, magazine, literary works, and figures, theses, poetry, and language consultation service, which is open to the public, and a wide varieties of contents that we are dealing, and we are still working on into adding the contents for the benefit of the users. And this is one of the portal that have been given benefits for the users. Reference Center for Malay Language and Literature, whereby a user can search on any question of language problems and language advice, and we put up one search over there to look for hikayat, and we may retrieve a few titles of hikayat which is stored in the encyclopedia database. Okay, to provide access to the masses, not only by digital contents, but preserving Malay literature and the authorship. Okay, in a few minutes. This is another challenge whereby to train the experts, especially among the young generation, through philology and transliteration workshop run by us and on a few series, and also to equip the officers of Dewan Bahasa with the appropriate knowledge. Yeah. And of course, professional collaboration, international level with the Islamic Manuscript Association on preservation of Islamic manuscripts, as well as local. And we are giving attention to create competencies among librarians to comprehend specialization in studying the manuscript and providing the services to the researchers. Yeah. All right. Okay. There are research activities going on. Yeah. All right. To the future plan. This is what in store by Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka 2016 and 2020 under the plan for upholding the Malay language, strengthening command of English and language and policy, as well as the strategic plan 2017-2020 in collection of Malay genius knowledge and the works of Malay Language and Literature Museum that has been going on, and we are working on networking programs on preservation of Nusantara Malay manuscript, which would involve the southern Thailand, as was stated by the presenter from Thailand. Okay, and we are also giving attention on endangered Malay manuscript in providing access and preservation awareness to the private collectors. Yeah. And the recommendation, probably Malaysia should have a common retrieval and access facilities across museum, libraries, archive, and galleries to aid researchers and the public and study of and teaching of Jawi writing in school education, as well as under the Asia Civilization and Islamic Civilization study syllabus that we are looking into. These are some of the collection that we would like to point out that related to the southern Thailand, precious historiography collections by Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka. With that, I thank to everyone. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kamariah.